This is episode 18 of the Online Playmaker Sessions with webinar marketing master and trainer, Justin Glover.
Welcome to the Online Playmaker Sessions. This is the place for the latest what's working now strategies from the best online playmakers, the top marketers, the rising stars who are making it happen right now. Every week, you'll get real, actionable lessons that you can take and apply immediately in your business, delivered in short 20-minute sessions. Our focus is your results. Here's your host, entrepreneur, world-class trainer, and marketing strategist, Norbert Orlowitz.
Hello, online playmakers. If this is your first time tuning into the Playmaker Sessions, thank you for choosing us, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, and if you prefer video, our YouTube channel at onlineprofitplaybook.tv. As with all of our episodes, we have all the show notes, transcripts, and actionable tips over on the blog. Just head over to www.onlineprofitplaybook.com. You'll also be able to get access to my complimentary 5-video tutorial series on building the proper foundation for your online business, as well as several other free trainings, including my Instant Income Multiplier tutorial. And if you're ready to multiply your results fast, check out the premium membership of our Online Profit Playbook, where our guests open up their closely guarded playbooks and walk you step by step through the exact marketing funnels and sales process they use to build their audience, grow their influence, and make sales. Get the coveted Online Profit Playbook today. Just head over to onlineprofitplaybook.com and join the Playmakers. After being frustrated with working close to 100 hours per week at 3 different jobs, Justin went to Google one late night in 2008 and started searching for ways to make money online. In his first 3 months as an online entrepreneur, Justin was bombarded with distractions and bought nearly every Make Money Online course he could afford. He blew through his entire life savings of around $30,000 and had nothing to show for it. With his back against the wall, Justin hired a mentor, and together they put together a simple plan, and he got to work. Just 91 days later, Justin had sold over $100,000 worth of affiliate products on the internet and quit all 3 of his corporate jobs. He then started creating his own products, and since then has grown his business to nearly $2 million in sales. He has helped thousands of aspiring entrepreneurs from all over the world get better results in their online businesses, with a few clients making over 6 figures online by implementing what they learned from him. This week's online playmaker, Justin Glover. All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Norbert Orlowitz here. I'm glad that you're joining us for another edition of the Online Playmaker Sessions. And as always, I am super excited to bring our next guest. We've had some incredible people on this show already, and I'm really excited for you to learn from the one and only Justin Glover. Justin, how you doing today?
I'm awesome, Norbert, man. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Fantastic. It's my pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to learning from you. Learning what you guys are working on in your business. I know you guys have a specific focus, and you're helping a lot of people, and I'm really excited for you to get that information with our audience here. So, Justin, let's jump right into it. Let's learn a little bit more about you and kind of how you got started in this online space. How many years ago did you get started, and what was your progression to where you are right now?
Yeah, so back in 2008, I was working roughly 100 hours. I had 3 jobs. I was installing school buses, the big air conditioners in the big yellow school buses that you see riding around.
Wow.
I actually worked at the factory, like one of the only factories in the world that made those school buses at the time. And so I was installing air conditioners there, and I would leave that job, go to wait tables at an Outback Steakhouse and bartend, and then leave there and go mow yards on my nights off in the weekend. So,
oh my God,
that started for me out of frustration. Like I can't do this much longer. So went to the internet, Googled how to make money, landed on a capture page somewhere, and sort of blew through a lot of money, had a great conversation with somebody. And that was in 2009 when I actually went full time. So.
Wow. Okay. So what was that progression? Because obviously, like so many other marketers, you come online,
It's a brand new industry. You've never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
You get a lot of information. You get inundated with a lot of different, pitches and concepts and all this kind of stuff. And then you had a conversation. I'm curious about this. What was that conversation like? What was it about that conversation that maybe shifted your path and your focus and helped you to start to move forward in the right direction?
So there was a lot of components that really caused that one conversation to be so powerful. Number one, I spent $1,000 to have this conversation with somebody, and I only had $2,000 left to my name. I'd blown through about 30,000, all of my savings. I was building up these little sports cars and stuff, and I said, screw the sports cars. I'm going to start buying this business stuff because I'm interested in it, and I think this can set me free. And so I was down to my last $1,000. I hadn't made anything in return. And so I invested it in this guy, and I borrowed my mother's truck, drove from Arkansas to Atlanta overnight to go to this conference. They made an offer for an hour conversation. You pay $1,000. So I did that. And the guy cut me short 10 minutes. He only gave me 50 minutes. And so it kind of made me angry, actually. But one of the things that he said in the conversation, the first 15 minutes, it was just me talking and telling him what I had done and all the stuff that I had known. And it was kind of like him stepping on my foot and pushing me back at the same time. Like he said, so you know what to do. Are you actually going to do it? Or are you just going to keep buying stuff? I was like, okay. So I just paid you $1,000 to tell me that. That didn't really help either. And so, I don't talk about this often, but I made the decision to quit, like to give up after that. It was devastating to me because my mother couldn't pay the bills. Like it was because of me. I had to move back home, and like I was out blowing this money. And so I had taken all of my personal development materials, all of my tapes and CDs and audios and stuff with me on that trip. And after that conversation, I went out, I found the closest trash can, I actually threw them away.
Oh my God.
And I started driving home. And it's funny, on the drive home, no matter what radio station I turned it to, no matter what was playing, like it was almost as if God himself said, look, if you want to quit, you can, but I'm not telling you to quit. I'm here if you want to continue on. And it was like, all right. So long story short, by the time I got home, I had been thinking about what this guy said, take action, do some stuff. And I had like this one little half sheet of paper with some notes that I took from that conversation. And I made the decision to not quit and to actually do this. And I did it, and I went all in on it. And I just gave it everything. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to try it because I don't have another choice that I can see right now. And, short story is 91 days later, I'd sold over $100,000 worth of stuff. And I turned in my last resignation letter, and I was full-time entrepreneur at that point.
Okay, Justin, that's an incredible story of breakthrough and turnaround. I mean, we're talking about you being at bottom, at wit's end. Here you are trying, you've invested $30,000 into this. You're not seeing any results. You make this trip, you pay $1,000 to have this 50-minute conversation. The guy gyps you 10 minutes. And, you're frustrated even after the conversation. After the conversation, you decide to quit. You throw out your books and tapes. You're driving back home, and you make the decision to commit. Now, what I'm interested in, because that's huge. And I think the first pivotal point is you made the decision.
Yeah. Right.
You made the decision. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to quit. And I think that's the most important and first step, that you make the decision. You're going to take this seriously. But I'm always also interested in the actions, because people always say, take action, massive action. But it's very rare that people actually say, well, what actions did you actually take? And I'm interested in that because I'm a practical person.
Sure.
So practically speaking, now you come home, you make this decision, you haven't made any money still. 90 days later, you make $100,000 in sales. What did you do? What actions did you specifically take to create those kinds of results?
So I just followed what he told me, what he wrote down on the paper. And it was simply step one, start building an audience, build a list. Step two, ask them what they want. Step three, either create it for them or find somebody who's already created it for them and offer it to them. And that was one of the first things that I heard, like day one of my entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
why it can't be that simple, but it really is. And that's what I focused on. I put that out in front of me, and I just built this frame around my mind really, and said, okay, all I'm focusing on is this. I'm going to build an audience. And then once I actually have an audience that's talking with me and communicating with me, I'm going to ask them what they want. And I did, and I found out. And I set it up in my autoresponder so that when people came into my world, I was asking them right off the bat, what do you want from me? And so I was constantly collecting this new feedback, and I was actually looking at it. I wasn't just collecting it and letting it sit. I was actually looking at it, and I was following up with them and asking them, hey, you said that you wanted this. I know somebody that has a great training in this. I think it would be massively helpful for you. Or I've got some experience in this. Here's my advice. If you need anything else, let me know. And it was really just, build the audience, ask them what they want, and then give it to them.
And it's amazing how simple it really can be if we focus on those simple things. And that's what I notice with a lot of struggling marketers in this industry, is that we tend to overcomplicate the fundamentals of what marketing is really all about. And if we just focus on the fundamentals and forget all the new gimmicks and all the latest social media things and the latest traffic strategies, and if we really just focus on the fundamentals, that's really the path to success. And I mean, I love this story. This example is just absolutely perfect. Okay, so you have your initial success. You finally make some money. You quit your job. So smooth sailing after that?
So I turned in my resignation letters literally the second month in a row that I matched all three of my incomes. I matched that online. The second month that I did that, I jumped ship. I said, okay, I'm out of here. And I went all in. And I quit all three of my jobs. And third month was okay. Fourth month, not so much. There was it wasn't all uphill. There was ups and downs, and there were months when it was very tough. But yeah, you push through and learn the lessons and just keep moving forward and don't quit, and it all works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people kind of have that misguided expectation as well, that finally you hit success, you get results, and then it's all uphill from there. And marketing and business just absolutely isn't like that. And I love, Jim Rohn talks about preparing for the winter. When it's harvest time, you harvest, but you're preparing for the winter as well, because winter is coming, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's some great advice. That's some great advice I wish I would have listened to, before winter had come as well, because we all experience those ups and downs.
Yeah.
Okay, so Justin, I'm curious now. Right now you run an excellent company with your partner, and you guys are doing some great things. You're working with a lot of great people. But I'm interested to know how you guys progressed into what you're doing right now. What is it that you saw in the marketplace, or what is it that you saw in your own business or the business of the people that you were working with that transitioned you to what you're doing right now?
So how we got to where we're at right now is, so the short story, I had my own business. My partner Brenda had her own business, very successful. And we were teaching people how to get started online, the basics of the stuff that we had learned. And we came together, we started our own company, and we had done really well. I built 2 companies past 7 figures, and one of them I chose to shut down. One of them shut down without my consent. It failed, but I took those lessons, rolled them in, we partnered up, and we started teaching that same market, and we helped a lot of people in it. But at the end of the day, we got to a point when we were asking ourselves, is this really, like, what would the perfect day look like for us? And we spent a lot of time really thinking about that. We were working with some coaches and mentors of our own, and they were sort of asking those same type of questions to us. And we had never really thought about it. It was just go, 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 go. And although business was growing and it was doing good, the happiness level wasn't keeping up with it. And so, there was stress, and I was about to have a baby, my first child, and I knew that I couldn't keep working like that. And, I was traveling all the time. And so we just said, all right, well, let's start by looking at what would be the perfect day for us. And we mapped out what the perfect day would look like. And then we said, okay, well, if that's the perfect day, how much of that can we actually do right now? Mm-hmm. And we did that. And then we looked at the rest of it and said, all right, well, what do we need to change or do in order to make the rest of this shift over and help us have this perfect day that we want to create? And for us, that answer was, well, we're going to have to change directions a little bit in who we actually teach. And so we didn't want to just abandon the people that we were teaching. So we had lots of great content and lots of great trainings. And so we still serve that market, but it's more so in an automated fashion these days. And we just shifted our focus because we had grown. So we started shifting and working with business owners that had a message that they want to get out to the world. And in my business, before I met Brenda, in Brenda's business, and what we started to do, webinars was something that always worked really, really well for us. It was the easiest. It was our go-to, that whenever we needed to bring in income or whenever we wanted to set up something that was sustainable for us, we knew that we could plug in and just start doing webinars. It was a great way to add value and generate some revenue at the same time. So that led us on the journey to start talking about webinars more often. And then whenever we started listening to these new people that we were attracting, that was sort of a common theme. They all had a message that they wanted to get out to the world. They all wanted to do it in a bigger way and generate more leads and make more sales. And we had the expertise in webinars because we had done them for so long. And so that was a natural transition for us. And so that's how we got to where we're at.
Awesome. Okay. I've got a 2-part question here, because you've worked with such a diverse range of clients and customers. Let's do this in a 2-part section. We've got people that listen to the show that are beginners getting started, or they've been in this for a bit, but they haven't created the results yet. So for those people, I'm going to go back to sort of that crowd of beginners that are just trying to get started. Let me share some of your advice from working with so many of these people over the years. Share some advice as to what would you tell them to focus on? What should they be doing right now to break through and have some results? What's your advice to them as far as, specific things that they should be focusing on right now?
Everybody is so different. Overall, I would say the first rule would be to simplify. Make sure whatever it is that you're doing, keep it as simple as possible. Anything that's more complex than it needs to be is just, it's a direct correlate. Like, it directly relates to more stress than you need to have, right? It's just unnecessary. So keep things as simple as possible in whatever you're doing. But it goes back to what my original mentor first told me. Is step one is you've got to build an audience, start generating people that you're talking to. And most of the time that happens with content, putting valuable content out to the world. We do it on a daily basis. We didn't for a long time. And if you look back at our numbers and our income, it's almost creepy how when you're putting value out, that's when the money's there. Mm-hmm. When you're not putting value out, the money's not there as often. The catch is, for newer people, sometimes you got to put a little bit of value out first, and it takes a little bit for the money to catch up. But once it catches up, it's like a snowball, and it just keeps running. So my biggest piece of advice is stay focused, keep things simple, and stay focused on it, and just put blinders on to everything else, and just stick with it, because eventually you will get there. And listen to your audience as well. Ask them what they want and really listen to them, and just go about everything that you do with the heart of, how can I serve? How can I truly add value, the most value to these people's lives? Because at the end of the day, the marketers, the business, the entrepreneurs that have the most success, they're the ones that are adding the most value to the most amount of people.
Absolutely. I love that answer. Completely resonate with that answer. And I think it really is the best advice. I love the concept of really just simplifying down your business. And it makes me think, Tony Robbins talks about the quality of questions that you ask, and the quality of answers that you receive is based on the quality of questions. And I was just thinking, as you were saying that, think most struggling marketers in this industry are asking questions like, how do I get more traffic? How do I get more leads? Right? And that's what they're focused on. Now, imagine if you shift those questions and start to ask, how do I build an audience? Yep. How do I add more value to the marketplace?
Those are not sexy questions though. Whenever you're new, like that, and because I was there, right? Like I heard that early on, but I didn't really hear it, right? I heard it, but I didn't really hear it because I didn't do it. I was still, I would respond and react to the people that were telling me the traffic strategies or the tactics or whatever, because that's what I wanted. That was sexy. And I lost track of, the true goal here, which is to add value. And, those unsexy answers are funnily enough, those are the ones that really create the result that we're after. So the sooner we can realize that and start taking that part serious, then the sooner we'll have the result that we want.
That's gold right there. That's gold right there. Those of you that are listening right now, I hope you're getting this, because this is where the shifts really start to happen. Okay, so second part of this question is now focusing on those people that already have a business, are already growing their business, they're already getting some results, but now they want to take it to the next level. And I know for you personally, you've been there in that place, and those are a lot of the clients that you work with now. What is your advice to those people that are watching this show right now and they're already getting some results, but they seem to be, maybe plateaued, or they're just not, they still have bigger goals, but they're struggling to reach those higher goals to take their business to the next level? What's your advice to them? What should they be focusing on now at that level?
It's very similar to the advice that I gave to people starting out. Look at what you're doing, and then really look at it from an objective standpoint and ask the question, how can I add more value? What are you doing? How much value are you adding? Because to get to a higher level, you just got to add more value. That's all it is. That is the secret. Like if you want to increase your income or, have more money come in, like you just got to add more value to more people. And so it really is just look at what you're doing and make sure that you're not overcomplicating things. Mm-hmm. Make sure that, if you are, cut some fat and take that in, because every additional thing that you're doing in your business, it takes and requires energy.
Yeah.
And if you can cut those things off that aren't really producing, the things that, they're not really in alignment with what you're doing, cut them off and take that energy and focus it into the one thing that will. So we all sort of have these core things that we start after, and then these distractions come up, and maybe they're not distractions. Maybe they're good for a while, and that's totally fine. Right. But they're not always good all of the time, long term. So just evaluate, look at what you're doing. If there's anything that you can, trim the fat, so to speak, and just refocus on what is going to take you in the right direction. That's what we did. And by simply doing that, in addition to, asking how can we serve more, that's really what took our business to the next level.
That's awesome. And you're a testament to that, because you shared with me, sort of your primary sales funnel, your primary process that grows your business right now is focused around webinars. All roads lead to your webinars, what you said. And I know you're going to reveal that to us in the premium session. You're going to walk us through your sales process, which I'm really excited to see. So webinars, let's talk about webinars. They're a big focus for you guys in your business. Sell me on webinars. Why webinars? Why did you guys decide to go down this path? Why is it something that people listening to this should consider putting into their business? And why do you guys focus on teaching that as well?
Okay. So I'll tell you a quick story, and that will paint a picture of why I personally am head over heels in love with the concept of webinars. So before I met Brenda, I told you I had a business that was doing well. It was primarily around webinars. I had recently taken that advice that I just gave. I had cut all my fat, and I said, okay, I'm just going to focus on webinars. And for about a year, almost a year and a half, here's what my work week looked like. I showed up to the office on a Friday, and I would spend 90 minutes delivering a webinar presentation. After the webinar presentation was over, I would log out. I would go walk around the block one time. I would come back in, set the timer, spend another 90 minutes going through all of the feedback that came in from that webinar. And I was updating the presentation. So all of the questions that came in, like if I noticed the common questions, I would take them and say, okay, how can I address this question in the webinar presentation for next week? Because I did a webinar every Friday. And all of the objections that came in from people that didn't buy the offer that I was making, I would go and update the presentation. So I'd spend 90 minutes doing that, and then I would go home. And I was paying a guy a percentage of our profits to put people on the webinar because I didn't want to deal with traffic. I just wanted to show up, deliver the webinar, make it better, and then go home. And every week I was doing anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 on a webinar. And I did that for like a year. And I really fell in love with the concept of webinars from a monetary standpoint, from the time freedom that it gave me. And in addition to that, webinars are really
so hold on a second. You just said that you were going to share with us your week of work.
That was my week. Friday.
Was your Friday?
Yeah, Fridays. That was it.
And you were bringing in $60,000 to $70,000 of revenue a week.
Yeah.
And you just hired a guy to bring people onto the webinar. So you didn't even deal with traffic or marketing.
Nope.
So your entire week of work to make $60,000 to $70,000 in sales per week was Friday.
Friday.
Okay. So that's why you like webinars.
That's why I like them. Yeah. And, you know, and it's a pretty good week, right? But here's the thing, like it takes a little bit of time. We work with students that come on, you know, the success really happens in webinars, not in webinar number 1, not in webinar number 2,
right.
But like 15, 16, 25, 30, the 30th time you've delivered your webinar, then you're going to have answered all of the questions. You'll have addressed all of the objections, and eventually you'll get to, if you're constantly making it better, you'll get to where you've got a perfect webinar. And you just got to show up and read the script, and that's it. And if you can get to that point, it's just a matter of you show up, you do it, you make it better. And once all the questions and objections go away, you can either automate it and go build another offer and do the whole process again, or you can get on what we call as the circuit and start presenting that webinar for other people's audience. So go to deliver the webinar for your audience, and then Tom's audience, and then Sarah's audience, and just, you know, you show up, and then you're not even paying for traffic. You just show up, you deliver the webinar, you've done it so many times, you know it works, you can give them the numbers, and it's consistency, you know. Delivering the same webinar every single week, it's not necessarily the sexiest thing in the world. It's not a whole lot of new stuff, but it allows you to, you know, have a lot of extra time to go and experience with new stuff if you want.
Beautiful. God, I love that. You can't beat that reasoning at all. Not at all. All right. So leave us, we're getting close to the end of this interview, and I want to keep it short. You've already provided so much incredible value and so many things for people to think about and consider and specifically apply in their business. And I usually ask this question at the end. I say, you know, leave us with 3 tips. 3 tips from Justin Glover to make a breakthrough in your business. I wonder if we should focus specifically on webinars here. And maybe if you could share with us 3 tips to deliver incredible webinars, to get the kind of results that you've been getting over the last few years. Let's focus specifically on webinars. 3 tips to create powerful, engaging, and profitable webinars for those people that are interested in doing webinars or doing webinars already. Let's hear it from Justin.
Got it. So tip number 1 is you've got to get people to show up, right? If they don't show up, it doesn't matter how good the webinar is or the offer. And the biggest thing that I see, I mean, there's things that you can do, show up sequences, and after they register, follow up emails and videos, and we've tested all of them. And the best thing that has given us the biggest results is not any of that. It's important. Like, you can't just do one without that, because that is important. You got to have the emails. You got to remind them, hey, show up. But really what gets the biggest show up rate is what happens before they even know that you have a webinar. It's the context. It's the content that you provide them before. If you can get them to go through a couple of pieces of content of yours first, and then make the decision, oh, this is good, I want to learn more, and then register, your show up rates will go through the roof. And so really spend some time focusing on making sure that people are seeing content before they register.
So in a sense, that's all around building your audience.
Yes.
And engaging with that audience. So there's a relationship there before you even invite them to come to a webinar, instead of cold traffic.
Yep.
Right. So you're inviting warm.
Yeah, there's ways to do it with cold traffic, but
absolutely. More
effectively, it's if you can put them through some content first, and And it doesn't have to be, 10 pieces of content. It can be one really good piece of content. That's plenty. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, a lot of times when you're looking at webinars, I spoke with a lot of people that have delivered webinars, and they're like, I just can't get this thing to work correctly or whatever. And oftentimes sort of the thought that we have is, well, I need to change up my closes that I'm doing, or I need to change the actual presentation. There's something wrong with how I'm presenting it. And while those will get you small shifts, if you want to make really drastic shifts in conversion, don't even worry about the presentation. Start with the offer. Everything that we do starts with the offer. What are you specifically selling, and how is that packaged? I've had people come to us that have really great offers, but they just had it packaged a little bit wrong. And you shift a few of those things around and make it, because you got to, if the offer is correct, that will give you the quantum leaps in conversion. And so that's really a big one for us. We teach it, we've got a course that goes through, we've got a done with you option, we've got a done for you option. And regardless of what level people come on and work with us, always we start with the offer, because that's the most important thing. So that's the second tip. Yeah. The third tip would be, do it like 15 times minimum. Like if you're going to do webinars, commit to doing them 15 times. And after every single one, get feedback.
I love that. Ask
questions in the webinar, get feedback, and then force yourself, like set a rule so that you have to go back to the presentation and make at least one change. That was my rule. Deliver the webinar, look at the feedback, make one change. Then deliver the webinar again to a new audience, get more feedback, make one change. And then just repeat that. And eventually that webinar gets better and better and better and better. And you can't do it in 2 or 3 webinars. You gotta commit. You see people that have webinars and they're doing, that they're doing really well. Well, if you really look at what they're doing, they've delivered that webinar a lot of times. And they don't always say that up front, but that's the truth. So if you're going to do them, commit to them. Like do them. We tell everybody that comes to work with us, commit to doing this thing 15 times as quickly as you can. And if you can do that, then that'll get you on the road. It's usually between like weeks 9 and 14 when the questions start to go away and the objections start to go away, and they're making really good money. And they're like, wow, this really freaking works. I'm like, yeah, what if you would have stopped at number 8 or number 7?
Yeah.
Right? Like you wouldn't have experienced any of this. So you got to stick with it.
Beautiful. Excellent advice. Those are 3 really powerful tips. Man, that's huge. That's huge. All 3 of those really, really important. I love it. Cool. Justin, this was a powerful interview. I think we've done about 25 minutes here, and seriously, the value that you've delivered here over the last 25 minutes is profound, and I'm really excited to get this out into the marketplace and make sure that people hear this. Really, really honored to have you here. Appreciate you giving of your time and sharing with us, your knowledge and your wisdom from all of your experience and the incredible results you've had. And I'm excited to see you and Brenda continue to help so many people around the world get their message out to millions in such a powerful way. So I just want to thank you on behalf of all of our viewers and listeners for being here and for sharing with us. Really, really appreciate it, Justin. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Norbert. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to our premium session together, where you're going to actually walk us through one of these webinar funnels and show us all the pieces of the process and how it all works and how you set it all up. So I'm really excited for that. So for those of our premium members, look forward to that in the Online Profit Playbook. And for everybody else, we will see you next week on another episode of the Online Playmaker Sessions. Everybody take care.
I hope you enjoyed this week's Playmaker session. If you love the session, subscribe now to our YouTube channel so you never miss our weekly episodes. Be sure to also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Just type in Online Playmakers in the search bar and click subscribe, and be sure to leave a 5-star review. All of the episodes, show notes, transcripts, resources, and bonuses are available on the blog over at onlineprofitplaybook.com, along with several bonus free tutorials I've created for you as well. Your fast track to results is to follow the Playmakers. You can download their closely guarded playbooks and follow them step by step to grow your influence, build your audience, and create results in your business right now. Head over to onlineprofitplaybook.com and join the Playmakers to get full access today. Thank you again for joining us today, and be sure to tune in next week as we bring you another power-packed session with the top playmakers online. This is Norbert Orlowitz signing off.